Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today and making me just a small part of your day, as per usual. You know that I appreciate every one of you. Got to say it every day because it's true. Our phone number is 423-800, 423-800-8949. It's not a 1-800 number. It's a local number, 423-800-8949. If you'd like to interact, I've got a lot of things to talk about today because I have some questions. I have some questions as we get to a lot of these spring games coming up on Saturday. Tennessee's got their spring game coming up. Alabama's got their spring game coming up. Georgia has their spring game coming up. And everybody has questions. Even how Alabama has questions. In fact, if anything, the year that you lose a national title, you have more questions than answers because you're trying to figure out, really, how could you get that close and not be able to finish off the job? And there are a plethora of questions for Alabama to answer, from their depth at running back to what they need to do about Jalen Hurts, which the answer there seems obvious, but it's not. And then, Tennessee's got the obvious Tennessee questions, which is like damn near everything, really, because of how many people they've replaced. They replaced offensive coordinator, defensive line coach. I mean, you'd have to find the shorter list of people on Tennessee's staff is people that they did not replace, right? And now you've got to replace your quarterback, right? You've got to replace Joshua Dobbs. And where do you go with that? Granted that I hate quarterback battles. I strongly dislike them. Not a big fan of quarterback battles. I think that they are, at least from a media and fan perspective, a giant waste of time. I understand why coaches do it. I understand why you would be invested in that as a coach. As a fan, just sitting down and just watching some guys battle it out. And none of us are scouts, so none of us know exactly what it is that we're looking at. And unless these guys get into game time scenarios and one guy plays better in the game than the other guy, that's the only time we know. And Tennessee's quarterback battle is long from over. So we'll get into all of that stuff. And of course, I realized that at a certain point in my life, I've loved sports my whole life, but at a certain point in my life, I have learned to love everything around sports. Right? I have a few friends that have covered music in magazines, wrote music reviews, and spent some time with some bands and stuff to be able to interview them. And what they've told me is a similar thing, right? Like, you always love the music, but you gain an extra appreciation for everything around the music. And my favorite thing in the world of sports, outside of the games themselves, are sound bites. When coaches flip out at the media on a sound bite, I can't think of anything that I enjoy more than that right there. And the NBA playoffs have gifted us with a new sound bite, and I'm going to try and figure out where it fits in the pantheon of professional sporting sound bites, along with a lot of the usual suspects. But I honestly think that an instant classic happened the other day when David Fizdale made certain remarks about NBA referees, and he got fined $30,000 for making them. So we'll see where his rant ranks among the pantheon of ranks. But let's start with the first thing that I want to talk about, because what would make Vols fans happy? We complain about Butch Jones all the time. And I want to know, what would make Vols fans happy with Butch Jones? Because, and I've always said this, if you're going to fire a guy, if you're going to ask for your team, ask for your school to fire a guy, what I want to know is, who are you going to replace him with? Who are you going to replace him with? You can't just fire a guy with no plan to rehire presumably somebody better than the guy you just fired. Because we're not under the delusion that just anybody can do this job, right? There are guys who are good and there are guys who are bad. And if your idea is, okay, Butch Jones is an inconsistent coach, who would you replace him with? Because, like, I look at the coaching situations around the SEC. Tennessee's not in a bad spot. You know who's in a really bad spot? The Aggies. Texas A&M is in a really bad spot. And here's how I know the Texas A&M is in a really bad spot. There have been elite players pass through that school while Kevin Sumlin has been the coach, and Texas A&M hasn't done anything with it. Right? Johnny Manziel, and I understand a lot of Johnny Manziel's problems cropped up and caught up to him. But while he was in College Station, he basically gave them a chance to win every game that they had to play. Every game. Every game that they could play, Johnny Manziel gave them a puncher's chance of winning every single game, even games against Alabama. Games where I would have thought, here come the Crimson Tide. They're going to roll the Aggies right out of the stadium. And that's not what happened. We got two incredibly good football games. Two incredibly amazing football games against Alabama from Johnny Manziel. Can Kevin Sumlin capitalize on this? Of course, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Then he gets Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is a freak athlete, an absolute freak of nature, a once-in-a-generation type talent. Your school does not get Myles Garrett but once every 20 years. Right? Like, South Carolina needs to realize you're not going to see another Jadeveon Clowney for another 2 decades. Schools don't usually get multiple of that guy. Right? Like, and Vols fans know this. You have Reggie White, and it's forever before you see a guy like Derek Barnett. And even then, I don't know that Derek Barnett was as dynamic as Reggie was. He's got the numbers, he's got the stats, he's got the sack record. I get it. But I'm saying Reggie White, more dynamic player. You just don't get multiple of a guy that good, that athletic on the defensive side of the ball. And when you do, it's typically beholden to you to capitalize on that in some kind of way. Because this isn't one of those things where the guy's going to get to the NFL and be better in the NFL in a way that you didn't see it coming in college, right? Like, that was J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt's a guy, came up, and he was good in college. He was productive in college, I guess. But, like, J.J. Watt became an NFL superstar in the NFL. Very rarely do you get a guy this good, defensive end. And from day one, you knew Myles Garrett was a beast. From day one. Kevin Sumlin's got a Myles Garrett, once-in-a-generation type talent, passing through his school, and Texas A&M does nothing. Zilch. Nada. Not a thing. I think you could, if you are a Vols fan, you could be worse. Your situation could be worse. You have Butch Jones. Butch Jones, who has the self-awareness of a newt. I understand. Butch Jones, whose late game decision-making leaves just about everything to be desired. I understand that too. But when Butch Jones had not even once in a generational talent, just really good talent. Okay, like Derek Barnett is great. Derek Barnett's not once in a generation talent. At least not from what we've seen of him here. He's been great. But not like once in a generation. I don't think I've ever seen an athlete like that guy. In fact, a lot of scouts are kind of down on him for that reason, that he's very explosive, but he doesn't have a ton of other moves outside of his initial burst. He's very powerful, but he doesn't have like the wide array of physicality that you see from a guy like Myles Garrett. Butch Jones has had Alvin Kamara, who again, great. Going to be a first rounder in the NFL draft. Have Josh Dobbs, who's been great for Tennessee. I said yesterday, more important as a Tennessee Volunteer than Peyton Manning. Joshua Dobbs is the most important Tennessee Volunteer of all time because of where Tennessee was when he showed up. But Josh Dobbs isn't Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, if anything, is the once-in-a-generational talent. Peyton's the once-in-a-generational talent. Josh Dobbs may be more important for dragging Tennessee football out of the doldrums, but make no mistake, right? Josh Dobbs, not a once-in-a-generational talent. Good player. He'll be like a third rounder. If Josh Dobbs is a fourth rounder in the NFL draft, and I think that would be incredibly too low for him, personally, I like him in the third, early third. But if he does find his way in the fourth round, I'm not shocked because there's nobody who watched Josh Dobbs throw the ball last year. And he did make some amazing throws. But nobody watched him throw the ball last year on a down-to-down basis and thought, this guy is a transcendent quarterback talent. What he is a gamer. He's a winner. He's a playmaker. He's not a transcendent quarterback talent. Butch Jones, with merely good players, good to great, but nothing transcendent. Butch Jones, with that, won a lot of football games. 9 to 10 games every year. And you're a Tennessee fan, and you're coming from years where, like, 2010, 2011, 10 wins was not guaranteed to you. The entire time that Josh Dobbs at least was here, I'm not saying you were guaranteed 10 wins, but 10 wins felt like the mark. You're trying to push past and you're trying to see, can we go further than this? 10 wins felt like what it was. So what would make Vols fans happy with regards to Butch Jones? Because if you replace him, you got to find somebody else to replace him with. I think you can do better. I don't know where you find better, though. And you've got a new athletic director in Curry. And so he's a guy, he's clashed with coaches before. It's very possible. It's very, very possible that he could have a clash with Butch Jones at some point if Butch Jones is not winning football games. But it does almost reset the counter on Butch. That now you've got a new guy coming in and a new guy evaluating and a new guy sort of getting a feel here, even though he does have experience at Tennessee. But you have a guy coming in who's having this sort of, he's having this sort of feel for what it is that Tennessee's standards of excellence are. What would make you happy? Would you like a coach that won slightly fewer games but put his foot in his mouth less? Would you like a coach that handled late game situations like a champ? Does the media stuff bother you? Because to me, I'll take the 10 wins. I'll take the 10 wins. That's not a guarantee. Not everybody's going to do what it is that Georgia's done. Georgia took a risk. They went out. They fired Mark Richt, who everybody loves. Everybody still loves. Everybody basically still loves. And went out and got Kirby Smart. And Kirby Smart has built Georgia up to be a legitimate threat. But that's a risk. And they had a clear idea in mind as to what it is that they wanted. And everybody's trying to be Alabama. It's a copycat league. Every level of football is a copycat league. If someone's doing something successfully, you take it from them. Georgia looked at Alabama and said, we want that defense. We want a defense that's good. We want a defense that's potent. We want a defense that's strong. And then we want a solid, strong running game. And we want to be able to do more than just win 10 games a year. That's a risk because you go out and get the wrong guy trying to go on this quest to win 10 games a year, and you might take some steps backwards. Georgia took some steps backwards first. And if you're Georgia, there's no reason to really be scared yet or be worried. And the way that Kirby Smart has recruited, he's putting himself up there. I honestly think, my personal opinion, I honestly think Kirby Smart, outside of Nick Saban, is the best coach in the SEC. Because there is so much more to being a head coach than X's and O's. You have to be a good recruiter. You do have to hire a good staff. You do have to manage your coordinators well. You have to manage players and their injuries well. And I honestly haven't heard anything that suggested that Kirby Smart is bad at any of this stuff, and he's really good at recruiting. What an incredible recruiting class. Second best recruiting class in the SEC. Top 5 recruiting class in the nation. That's going to pay dividends. How could it not? If that's what you're looking for, if you're the Vols and you're looking over at Georgia going, well, because I think we can all agree, Georgia's going to probably run the East in the next few years. If you don't think your current coach gives you that best chance, then I understand your idea of moving on. But it's always a risk to move on. And stability is very important in trying to keep something going. If you're constantly changing coaches, there's nothing that says you don't wind right back up where you were before Butch Jones got there. Right? This is the biggest school Butch Jones has ever coached at. You need to also consider that. And I understand that there's a process of learning that like nobody wants to see or hear about. But we're in the make or break years of Butch Jones. I think this year he doesn't really have anything to worry about. But if this year is not good, he's going to want to start looking over that shoulder in 2018. Right? Like the start of the 2018 season is going to be time to check the rearview mirror and see if anybody's coming after you. If this upcoming season isn't good. Because fans don't like to go backwards. Nobody likes to go backwards. Right? Like if you have a girlfriend and you have a lot of money and you're going out to dinner every night and you're going out to fancy places and then suddenly you have no money, I'm not saying she's going to leave you, but I'm saying it makes it harder to keep that person. It does. People don't like to go backwards. Fans don't like to go backwards. Hey, when you're winning 10 games a year, it's great. And you feel you get a little greedy. You want a little bit more. You want to be a contender. You want to win the SEC title. And I get it. And I follow all of that. But you know what you would like less? If you went after another coach and then you were winning 7 games a year, 5 games a year, and you can't beat Florida, and you can't beat Georgia, and you can't beat Bama. Third Saturday in October. Right? Butch Jones still hasn't beaten Alabama, but what makes you think a new guy can? And it's crazy because the Nick Saban effect is this. Everybody tries so hard to catch Alabama. They destabilize their teams. They destabilize their coaching staffs. They're firing people. We're swapping everybody out all the time. And nobody has that stability that Alabama has. Alabama gets to be one thing that everybody else can't be because everybody's trying to chase Alabama. and that's stable. And that's one of many, many reasons why it pays to be Nick Saban. Your very existence destabilizes everyone around you. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM News Now. You say 60-year-old Carrie Lee Parkey was found dead inside of a transport truck near Orange Grove Center. An autopsy has been ordered from the Hamilton County Medical Examiner's Office because they believe the circumstances surrounding the man's death are suspicious. The Chattanooga City Council is going to be working together to determine in which areas Airbnb will be allowed. Resident opinion seems to be fragmented, with some people in some zones approving and some people not. The City Council having to account for that and where they're going to allow Airbnb and short-term rental service. It's been reported that many people are operating an Airbnb, technically speaking, outside of the law. 911 call center alerts lit up like a Christmas tree last night as a man was riddled with bullets on East 23rd Street. Police say he was shot multiple times by an unknown assailant who may still be on the loose. A student from Covenant College has been rescued after falling off of a bluff 40 feet below to a ledge where she managed to call her friend, who then called emergency services. Miraculously, she was not wounded. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows only around 60. May see a little more patchy late fog. For Thursday, another mainly dry, warm day. Highs 83 to 85. For Friday, a few scattered showers and storms. For the afternoon, highs into the lower 80s. Your business needs can change in an instant. Account Temps can help by providing accounting and finance professionals on a temporary basis whenever you need them. Call today. That's Account Temps, a Robert Half company. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore. On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You have to file your 1040 now. We will handle it for you now. Liberty Tax Service will snip out every deduction, every benefit. Liberty Tax Service now. Red Bank, Saudi Daisy, Dayton. Liberty Tax Service now.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty food. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5. 20% off. Nooga Radio, the highway, nature's finest.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. She's walking down the street.
And she's wearing a stunning diamond ring that's a fraction of the cost that her man would have paid at one of those overpriced mall jewelry stores. Rick Davis has a plethora on quality diamonds and gold rings, and he wants to pass the savings on to you. Did I say plethora? How about overabundance? That's right, an overabundance of gold and diamonds. So before you decide to get crazy and pay full retail on an overpriced piece of jewelry from one of those cookie cutter mall jewelry stores, come on out and see Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Top quality gold and diamonds at a fraction of the cost. Enter marital bliss with an engagement and wedding ring from Rick Davis. Hey, he'll also buy your gold and diamonds with cash, and more cash. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And there goes another happy bride.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
So David Fizdale, the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies, turned in an all-timer. An all-timer. And I didn't get into it the other day when the Grizzlies lost to the Spurs. But I found a reason to bring it back up again today because David Fizdale, he got fined $30,000 by the NBA. Now, I think what he did, there's a lot of good things in what he said because it fires up your team. It lets the referees know, hey, look, I'm looking out for you. It puts a lot of eyes, outside eyes, on NBA officials. And if you thought the game was being refereed unfairly before, it may straighten up. Coaches have done this in the past. We're just going to gripe at the media about the officials to try and put some pressure on the officials. And also, it tells your guys that you don't think it was their fault. Maybe unburden them psychologically a little bit. And it tells your guys, look, I got your back. I got your back. I'm going to the media against the NBA officials on your behalf, and it's costing me $30,000. I just dropped $30,000 for you. Nobody I know has ever spent $30,000 on me, in large part because they can't, but also because that's a lot of money to spend on one person. I don't know. There aren't very many people I'd spend $30,000 on. $30,000 for team morale. David Fizdale. This is what cost him $30,000 right here.
It's unfortunate that I got a guy like Mike Conley who in his whole career has got 0 technical fouls and just cannot seem to get the proper respect from the officials that he deserves. It was a very poorly officiated basketball game. Zach Randolph, the most rugged guy in the game, had 0 free throws, but somehow Kawhi Leonard had 19 free throws. First half, we shot 19 shots in the paint, and we had 6 free throws. They shot 11 times in the paint, and they had 23 free throws. I'm not a numbers guy, but that doesn't seem to add up. Overall, 35 times we shot the ball in the paint. We had 15 free throws for the game. They shot 18 times in the paint and had 32 free throws. Kawhi shot more free throws than our whole team. Explain it to me. We don't get the respect that these guys deserve because Mike Conley doesn't go crazy. He has class, and he just plays the game. But I'm not going to let them treat us that way. You know, I know Pop's got pedigree and I'm a young rookie, but they're not going to rook us. That's unacceptable. That was unprofessional. My guys dug in that game and earned the right to be in that game, and they did not even give us a chance.
All right, thank you.
Take that for data.
There you go. What makes that an all-timer right there is that he winds up to it. He gets angrier and angrier and angrier as he goes along. And by the end, he is in full-on preacher mode. And then, of course, he ends with punching the table on his way out the door. And I feel like all of the great all-time rants have to have some kind of a catchphrase. Take that for data.
Take that for data.
You know what I mean? It's got a little bit of a bite to it. That to me is an all-time. That's an all-timer. That is an instant classic. David Fizdale and take that for data. And I want to know, where does this rank in the pantheon of great coaching rants? Because no one's ever going to forget that one time that John L. Smith tried to get everybody in the media room to smile, or he wasn't going to start talking.
You guys act like it's, pick it up a little bit. Okay? Get your chin up. Smile. Smile. Okay? Dang, you guys, all right? If not, I'm not talking. Let's get rolling. Okay. Rutgers coming to town this week.
My favorite part is that he immediately just jumps back into answering a question as though he did not threaten everyone in the room. Also, not the way you go about getting people to smile. Clowns can make people smile sometimes when they're not creepy. If you tickling people, that gets them to smile. Great jokes, that gets people to smile. You know what doesn't get people to smile?
Smile. Smile.
There's nothing that makes me want to smile less than John L. Smith yelling at me to smile. That makes me want to cry. It makes me want to crawl under a table and weep. It's insanity. How did that man ever become a coach of any team ever? How did we allow that to happen? Right? Then there's the ultimate I've got your back coaching press conference. So we can never, ever forget that. It's Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy. We all know Mike Gundy. I'm a man. I'm 40.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
You know, that to me, that might be my favorite one. That might be my favorite one. Like over the course of that entire press conference, he's got this newspaper that he then drops on the ground. And anytime he wants to refer to the newspaper, he looks down at the ground where the newspaper is. Could not be bothered to pick it back up. Because he said the newspaper's garbage. So he left it right there on the ground. He put his money right where his mouth was, I guess. Explained it perfectly. And then, of course, Jim Mora. You can't have one of these without Jim Mora.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Well, there you go. Jim Mora. Playoffs. Everybody is very aware and very familiar with playoffs. So that's the reason why. I'm a man. I'm 40. Playoffs. Smile. They all have catchphrases. Take that for data. I feel like David Fizdale's right up there. He's right up there. Kevin Borseth is also right up there. Kevin Borseth is the university, or was at the time, the University of Michigan women's basketball head coach. And this is what he had to say after a game. Pretty fired up. Might be the second angriest dude that I've ever heard in a presser.
That's how I feel. Damn sick and tired of getting out rebounded 25 offensive rebounds. First time we block out, we get called for a damn block out. We're pushing people. Meanwhile, they're on the other court grabbing rebounds, going over the top and grabbing them. We get one offensive rebound, the other get called for over the back. We don't block out very damn well, and we're not getting called, one or the other. That's where I'm frustrated. That's where my whole frustration comes in, offensive rebounds. The entire thing came down to offensive rebound. They got every stinking offensive rebound, and we didn't get one of them. What else do you want to know?
What else do you want to know? Which, like, very brave is the reporter that asked the question after that. Like, what else do you want to know? Nothing, coach. Actually, we were all good. I was just heading home. You drive home? Because that's a scary situation to be in. And I could have included, by the way, Nick Saban in any of these. My issue with Nick Saban is I feel like we all know he's putting on an act. Like, everybody here is legitimately upset. And John L. Smith is legitimately crazy. Everybody. So, like, nobody, no reporter, nobody sitting in that room saw that coming. Nobody knew. Nobody had an inkling of what was coming next. Nobody. When Nick Saban has his tantrums and throws his fits and says, you know, whatever crazy thing that he said, I'm trying to remember the line about they ran through our defense like crap through a tin horn, except he didn't say crap. That, right? But everything that Nick Saban does is so calculated. I don't know. I don't feel like if I'm a reporter in the room with Nick Saban, I'm legitimately terrified of Nick Saban. He lashes out to remind the media who's in charge of the room. And it's him. It's him. It's always him. Okay, we got it. It's just not scary. Like, for me, you see Kevin Borthseth losing his mind, or how creepy John L. Smith is when he's telling you to smile.
Smile. Smile.
I mean, that to me, that's what puts you in the pantheon of greatness. Like people have to legitimately be terrified for you and or your safety. Like, you have to feel some kind of fear that when you were in the room and these guys are ranting and raving like lunatics. Like that one time, the Denny Green just lost his mind.
4 picks against Grossman and 2 fumbles. What do you see about the Bears? We shut them down that way.
No, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. What we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in a preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown them. They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
So, the Denny Green thing is great. The reason why, and that's the best one, in my top 5 of great post-game rants. And by the way, if you have one you want to suggest, 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949 is the number. But yeah, the reason why Denny Green to me is the absolute best, the best of the best, in fact, is this. Everybody else sort of builds up to being angry outside of like Kevin Borthseth. Kevin Borthseth he just lost his mind from the very beginning. He came in and punched the podium to start the interview, which is insane. But like Denny Green, he's trying to answer the question, and you can just sort of see his descent into madness, and it takes about 15 seconds. It's not a very long descent. He immediately flips the switch. And what makes that also great is I'm not sure what he's saying. Is he saying that the Bears are who they thought they were or aren't? Because it actually doesn't seem to make a difference. It doesn't actually affect how angry he is. And it makes no sense either way. The Bears are or aren't who you thought they were. Can you make it out? Because I can't.
4 picks against Grossman and 2 fumbles. What do you see about the Bears? We shut them down that way.
No, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. What we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown them. They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Also, the other thing that David Fizdale has going for him is that he too also punched the podium. Kevin Borseth punched the podium. Denny Green punched the podium. And Fizdale ended on a podium punch, which to me is more effective.
Take that for data.
You got to punch the podium, apparently. That's one of those things. Yeah, I don't know exactly where Fizdale falls. I want to put him top 10, though. I'm going to force him into the top 10 somehow. But that Denny Green and that Mike Gundy, that's top 3. Like Green, Gundy, and Jim Mora.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
And I honestly believe David Fizdale's right up there. It's right up there. I don't think he's as high profile a coach, and that's probably what might hold him back. But in terms of just the listenability of this man getting angrier and angrier as he reads through these stats, to me, that is my favorite thing that I think I've heard in a very long time. Coming up in 10 minutes, the Wizards and the Hawks tip off on NBA TV, rather, later today. The Wizards and the Hawks, Atlanta. So you might be able to catch that game on a local channel. I wish I could tell you which one. But the Wizards and Hawks, initially, one of the most intriguing NBA series of all of them. Atlanta, this is who you wanted. It was Washington. I stand by that, even though Washington showed up in a big way on Sunday and punched the Hawks in the face. I don't want to say that this is a must-win game. Okay, game 2s are not must-win games. Elimination games are must-win games, right? You don't want to lose game 2 if you're Atlanta. You want to give Washington everything that they can handle and be able to try and take this thing back to Atlanta where you've got a chance to win, where you've got a chance to have the home crowd behind you, where you've got a chance to truly dominate the game. We're going to see some angry players for Atlanta, right? Marcin Gortat said that he expects to see an angry Dwight Howard, and I feel like it's a given. Paul Millsap's going to be showing up an angry dude. So that's a given. I don't necessarily like Atlanta when they play angry. It seemed to make them play sloppier on Sunday. But that being said, this is the matchup they wanted. I can't imagine another matchup that goes very well for you, like outside of like Boston. Like Boston just looks shaken right now. And I understand a lot of that is Isaiah Thomas and the personal loss that he suffered, but he's playing well and they're still losing. Like it doesn't appear to matter. So I don't know if you're Boston necessarily. Maybe your Atlanta. Boston was the team that you felt like you could have taken, but I look at this Washington team. I thought the matchups were well. I thought Millsap matched up well against Morris. I thought Howard matched up pretty well against Gortat in terms of the familiarity that those two guys have, both playing in Orlando. And I thought Schroeder was going to be able to try and take that next step. Like the leap needs to be made now for Dennis Schroeder. Is he a good point guard? Or can he be a great point guard? Like he has to take it to the next level. And playoff experience is vital and important to that. But Atlanta doesn't want to go down 0-2 here. It's not a must win. If you go down 0-2, you can still go home and win in Atlanta and even this thing up. It's possible. Okay. And as they say about playoff series, a playoff series doesn't really start until somebody wins on the opponent's home floor. So Atlanta wants to get this thing started. You want to win one in Washington and force Washington to be a little bit more on edge coming into Atlanta. If Washington's up 2-0 going into Atlanta, that's not a situation you want to be because the Wizards don't mind playing in Atlanta. They've crushed Atlanta in Atlanta before. This is the absolute opposite of what you want. And then that would turn game 3 into a must-win game because you're not coming back from down 3. Okay, you're not coming from 3 games back. It's just not happening. This team is not designed for that consistency-wise. The Atlanta Hawks are a team, they have to make sure possession in and possession out, they're in the game. Quarter in and quarter out, they're in the game. This cannot be one of those things where you try and make it all back up in chunks. And if the Wizards push Atlanta around, like I don't know who else I would have thought that they would have matched up against with of the 4 teams above them. Right? Like I don't like them necessarily against Cleveland. They had those 2 wins against Cleveland, and I still don't like them against Cleveland. I don't necessarily like them against Boston. I know Boston's getting pushed around by Chicago right now, but Chicago's got stars. And it's the thing I've been saying about Atlanta this whole time. I think Atlanta has gone about as far as a team can go with no stars. You've got to have stars. And if you're thinking you can make one, right? Like if you think that Dennis Schroeder can be that star, that's fine. But then you still need to get another one. You don't have stars. Paul Millsap is an all-star caliber guy, and he's the only guy. Dwight Howard is over the hill. Dennis Schroeder isn't ready yet. Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't ready yet. If you think that those guys can be stars, and I have serious doubts. I think that Tim Hardaway Jr. is about hit his ceiling. I think this is about as good as it gets for that guy. Which is that every now and then he will turn in a wonderful performance, but overwhelmingly he will be average. This is a team without stars that runs in the league on stars. You've got to find one, and you're at that point, you're good enough, you can't draft one. Atlanta's got to find a way to attract a star. And I don't know if it's going to be Paul George. It's got to be somebody, though, because this is about as far as you go. Like, the Wizards are a really good team, and there is no shame in losing to them. But it's clear that in terms of firepower and star power, Washington outguns Atlanta. Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell fronts the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240. The voice of NASCAR. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedway.dirtsimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see you Saturday night.
The Dirt Showdown #1 with limited late models, crate late models, sportsman, hobby, street stocks.
Boyd Speedway.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jet's Pizza. If you eat out at Jet's in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jet's. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jet's Pizza at Buy Low near the S curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
I've been a customer at SNS 14 years. It's way out of my way, but I'm well treated. I believe what I'm told. Price is reasonable. David Tulis here. Make an SNS appointment today. This week, get $50 off any 30,000-mile service or timing belt repair. And get a free combat knife as a gift. SNS Auto Repair specializes in Toyota, Lexus, Honda, Acura, Scion, Nissan, and Infiniti. 6-time winner of Best of the Best award in the Times Free Press. 855-3436. ssautorepair.net. 855-3436.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us. Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me. Action Rentals.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee!
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga,
WSDT Sunny Daisy Chattanooga.
If North Korea keeps it up, the Trump administration says
all options are on the table in response to its nuclear weapons program.
After those sexual harassment allegations, he's out at Fox News.
I'm Bill O'Reilly.
I don't think we're going to see him on what he calls the mainstream media for a long, long time.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. The pressure's still on North Korea from the administration and from a key member of Congress to pull back on its nuclear ambitions.
House Speaker Paul Ryan in London said the U.S. isn't ruling out military action against North Korea.
Of course, all options are on the table. You never take options off the table.
Back in Washington, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says the U.S. is also looking at other ways to put pressure on North Korea.
We're reviewing all of the status of North Korea, both in terms of state sponsorship of terrorism, as well as all the other ways in which we can bring pressure to bear on the regime in Pyongyang.
The U.S. removed North Korea from its list of state sponsors of terrorism in 2008. Steve Dorsey, CBS News, Washington.
Fox News commentator Bill O'Reilly had the top-rated show on cable.
Caution. You are about to enter the no spin zone. The factor begins right now.
But after several women came forward alleging sexual harassment, O'Reilly and Fox News have parted ways. He will no longer host the program that brought in an estimated 20% of the profits at 20th or 21st Century Fox, and says CBS's Bill Rakoff.
Bill O'Reilly calling the claims that brought down his 20-year career at Fox News unfounded, and says it's tremendously disheartening to part ways with the network. O'Reilly says he was proud to launch and lead what he called one of the most successful news programs in history, and pointed out he helped Fox achieve the success it enjoys today.
Attorney Lisa Bloom represents 3 of the women who've made sexual misconduct allegations against O'Reilly.
Fox News chose to flout the law for all these years. It was as if the laws against discrimination and harassment didn't apply to them. But ultimately, they have done the right thing today.
Was classified material, thousands of documents stolen by people at the CIA, stuff that was posted online. CBS's Jeff Pegues says the CIA and FBI are trying to figure out who's behind all that.
The security breach involves the theft of CIA documents and hacking tools used to penetrate smartphones, smart televisions, and computer systems. Sources familiar with the investigation say it is looking for an insider, either a CIA employee or a contractor who had physical access to the material. The agency has not publicly said when the material was taken or how it was stolen. The trove was published in March by the anti-secrecy organization WikiLeaks.
Wall Street, the Dow closed down 118 points. The NASDAQ gained 13. Now this.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage, $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-569-5440. That's 1-800-569-5440. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters, 1-800-569-5440, or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-569-5440. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Eric Freen has been convicted of capital murder in Milford, Pennsylvania. He was charged with ambushing 2 state troopers at a barracks in 2014. 1 died. Freen could face the death penalty. In Central California, Corey Ali Muhammad behind bars in Fresno after officials say he killed 3 white men.
Corey Muhammad is not a terrorist, but he is a racist. And he's filled with hate, and he set out this past week to kill as many people as he possibly could.
Police Chief Jerry Dyer says the suspect was informed that he was wanted in the death last week of a motel security guard. Muhammad said the guard had disrespected him. No suicide note found in the Massachusetts prison cell where former New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez hanged himself. He was serving life following a murder conviction. WBZ TV's Anna Myler.
Aaron Hernandez was not on suicide watch. There was no indication that he wanted to harm himself. Otherwise, he would have been moved out of the general population unit into another type of cell.
Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM News Now. Police say 60-year-old Carrie Lee Parkey was found dead inside of a transport truck near Orange Grove Center. An autopsy has been ordered from the Hamilton County Medical Examiner's Office because they believe the circumstances surrounding the man's death are suspicious. The Chattanooga City Council is going to be working together to determine in which areas Airbnb will be allowed. Resident opinion seems to be fragmented, with some people in some zones approving and some people not. The City Council having to account for that and where they're going to allow Airbnb and short-term rental service. It's been reported that many people are operating an Airbnb, technically speaking, outside of the law. 911 call center alerts lit up like a Christmas tree last night as a man was riddled with bullets on East 23rd Street. Police say he was shot multiple times by an unknown assailant who may still be on the loose. A student from Covenant College has been rescued after falling off of a bluff 40 feet below to a ledge where she managed to call her friend, who then called emergency services. Miraculously, she was not wounded. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio News AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows only around 60. May see a little more patchy late fog.
For Thursday, another mainly dry, warm day. Highs 83 to 85. For Friday, a few scattered showers and storms. For the afternoon, highs into the lower 80s. Your business needs can change in an instant. Accountemps can help by providing accounting and finance professionals on a temporary basis whenever you need them. Call today. That's Accountemps, a Robert Half company. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore. On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing the new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose, by the way. Don't know if you got that. Make sure that you check us out at all the places you can check us out. The TuneIn Radio app is one of those places. Thank you to those of you if you're listening to us on AM 1240, 92.7 FM, or streaming us live on YouTube. You can search this show, Clutch with Keon Rose, and you'll find it. It's live. It's going right now. Thank you, everybody who's tuning in already. Wizard talks about the tip-off right now at 7. And I was waiting for a defining NBA playoff moment. There's always one. There's always one. I just didn't think it would come so soon. And it had nothing to do with basketball. It was a coaching press conference. David Fizdale gave us the presser of the year, probably, with this.
It's unfortunate that I got a guy like Mike Conley who in his whole career has got 0 technical fouls and just cannot seem to get the proper respect from the officials that he deserves. It was a very poorly officiated basketball game. Zach Randolph, the most rugged guy in the game, had 0 free throws, but somehow Kawhi Leonard had 19 free throws. First half, we shot 19 points, shot 19 shots in the paint, and we had 6 free throws. They shot 11 times in the paint, and they had 23 free throws. I'm not a numbers guy, but that doesn't seem to add up. Overall, 35 times we shot the ball in the paint. We had 15 free throws for the game. They shot 18 times in the paint and had 32 free throws. Kawhi shot more free throws than our whole team. Explain it to me. We don't get the respect that these guys deserve because Mike Conley doesn't go crazy. He has class, and he just plays the game. But I'm not going to let them treat us that way. I know Pop's got pedigree, and I'm a young rookie, but they're not going to rook us. That's unacceptable. That was unprofessional. My guys dug in that game and earned the right to be in that game, and they did not even give us a chance.
All right, thank you.
Take that for data.
There you go. You got to punch the podium. You got to punch the podium as you get up. That's how you make an all-timer of a press conference. But let's leave David Fizdale alone and head to another guy that really makes a ruckus in press conferences, Nick Saban, who I mentioned earlier. Nick Saban is a guy who I wouldn't say is one of the best press conference guys of all time because he is – everything he does is planned. Everything he does is situated. When Nick Saban flips out at the media, it doesn't feel like a guy who just lost it and flipped out at the media. And the reason why you know this is because there isn't an entire catalog of like Denny Green. There isn't a catalog of Denny Green losing it at the media. There isn't a catalog of Mike Gundy losing it at the media. There's a catalog of Mike Gundy quotables. There isn't a catalog of Mike Gundy losing it at the media. There's 2 great Jim Mora moments, but there isn't a catalog of Jim Mora. There's only 2 guys that I know that have a catalog. Nick Saban and Bobby Knight. And Bobby Knight was always angry. And Nick Saban's not always angry. Sometimes he has fun, like with the media. He just picks and chooses those times very specifically. And if there's something on the team that could really be a distraction, Nick Saban flips that at the media to distract us all from it. And if there's something on the team that, just the media wants to ask questions and maybe they get a little bit too comfortable asking questions, well, Nick Saban flips that at the media to make everybody less comfortable about asking questions. Does it all the time. That's his thing. And it pays to be Nick Saban because we let him do it. We let him do it. Nick Saban is the only guy I know that flips out at the media that much, and we're just cool with it. Now, I say cool relatively. Like, I don't think that nobody ever mentions it. People talk about it, but nobody seems to have as big a problem with it as if some other coach did it. Also, Nick Saban rips into his coaches like nobody else. And Lane Kiffin, who used to be the offensive coordinator over at Alabama, now head coach of Florida Atlantic University, Lane Kiffin has been on the record saying, as of today, hey, that's something that I will not be doing. I will not be belittling my assistants. And it's crazy because I heard people going, oh, it's Lane Kiffin whining about something. That's the one thing that Lane Kiffin whined about that he was ever right about, is it's not okay to rip into your assistants. It's not okay to yell at another grown man like he's a kid. It isn't. And on television, Nick Saban was ripping into Lane Kiffin on live TV. Now, I don't know what Lane Kiffin's reaction to that was, and maybe in this particular aspect of his life, Lane Kiffin is more mature than me. But there's another grown man is not about to yell at me without repercussions in my face on TV. It's not about to happen. It isn't about to happen, right? One of the movies that I like a lot, the movie Whiplash, which is about this kid who's a drummer, and he wants to be a great drummer, so he goes to the school, and the teacher is incredibly abusive, especially verbally abusive, and he's just yelling at the kid because he's trying to make him a better drummer. Will never say good job, will never affirm him because he's trying to drive the kid to be a better drummer, right? And the kid is taking the abuse because he thinks that that's what he needs to be a better drummer. I would just have to be a terrible drummer then because that man's getting a punch in the face. There isn't a situation where someone is in my face yelling at me and I'm not at least yelling back. You don't do that to another grown man on television. Like, if you lose it at that person in the locker room behind closed doors, well, that's between y'all. I don't really have anything to say about that. I'm not going to tell you how to run your ship. But when you're on television, that's just rude. And you know you're doing it to crush him, and you know you're on TV. It's a football game. It's a football game. Like Lane Kiffin saying he's not going to belittle his assistants. Like, Lane Kiffin throughout his life has made a ton of mistakes, and it does not appear that he's learned much. But that's one thing that he's learned I have a world of respect for, because Nick Saban crushes his assistants, and it's cool. It's cool. Like, you'll put up with it because if I'm a Lane Kiffin assistant long enough, I'm going to get a job somewhere else. I mean, you've got two guys in the SEC that got jobs from working under Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin goes through assistant coaches very often. Like, he gets to be the one constant. He gets to be the one constant. But he goes through assistant coaches very often. I mean, the turnaround between Kiffin, Sarkisian, and the guy they've got now is insane. You went through 3 coaches in, 4 games? Steve Sarkisian was the offensive coordinator for a day. Might as well have been his title. He was the offensive coordinator for exactly 1 week and put together a brilliant game plan in the national title game because for whatever reason, Jalen Hurts could not hit the broadside of a barn. 13 of 31 throwing the ball, And if it weren't for Steve Sarkisian, Alabama's not only not leading at any point in that game, they don't have a prayer of beating Clemson without some of the trick plays that Sarkisian pulled off. Now, we're talking about a different national title game without Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian bounces the first chance he gets. He is out on the next thing smoking. I mean, you can't believe how much guys have to be under pressure to leave Nick Saban at the rate that people leave Nick Saban. I mean, that guy goes through coaches more frequently than he goes through new rolls of toilet paper. Because he's a buzzsaw. And look, it's been effective. They win. I'm not saying it doesn't get results. But you're Nick Saban. Hey, you get to get away with a couple of things. You're Nick Saban. You also get to get away with the fact that your team has a lot of questions and, like, you don't have to supply us with any answers. Nick Saban is not required to answer any questions. And great coaches get to earn this, right? Like Bill Belichick is at the point now. He doesn't answer questions. Bill Belichick is not required for the Patriots to answer any questions. The man has won too many Super Bowls in his career to answer questions from the rest of us. Even when he's wrong, he's right. The Patriots have messed up things before. People forget the Patriots once traded for Albert Hainsworth on purpose. And they had to cut him days later because they realized, oh yeah, no, that guy's garbage. But it's okay because they're the Patriots. The Patriots are allowed to make that kind of mistake in a way that nobody else is. Nothing that the Patriots do is wrong. If the Patriots trade Jimmy Garoppolo, it was the right decision. If they keep Jimmy Garoppolo, it was the right decision. Everything they do is right. They don't owe us an explanation. That's where Nick Saban is. Nick Saban has entered the level of coaching where he does not owe anybody an explanation. He simply does what he wants. And we kind of just let him do it. Belittle your assistants? Sure. Flip out at the media? Sure. But can we all just agree Nick Saban's a jerk? I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm not saying he's not one of the greatest coaches of all time, because he's in a conversation with only one other guy, and his name rhymes with Care Bryant. As he's in a conversation with one other guy for the greatest football coach ever. Arguably already there. But Nick Saban is a jerk. Like Lane Kiffin could learn a lot from coaching under Nick Saban. You can't learn how to treat assistants, though. Because throwing people under a bus is not a good way to go when you lead others. And I'm not saying you'll never be successful. Right? Like I ripped Phil Jackson the other week. But I don't think that Phil Jackson's unsuccessful. Phil Jackson's been very successful. And Phil Jackson has always been the guy that rips people to the media. Always passive-aggressively going behind your back and saying stuff. He started the feud between Shaq and Kobe. The person who started that was Phil. So yeah, you can do those things and be successful. And you will be a bad person. Nick Saban, great coach. Also, kind of a jerk. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. The Wizards lead the Hawks 9-6. That game just got underway. And I'm not going to lie. Did anybody see that Boston-Chicago series going the way that it's going? Because I didn't. Now, I thought Chicago could put up a fight, and I thought Chicago was going to win 2 games. I didn't think they were going to be the first 2. I didn't think that they were going to be the underdog. I didn't think they were going to be the 8th seed and win the first 2 games in Boston's house, blowing them out in the second game. And if you're Boston, how bad do you feel right now? right? Isaiah Thomas aside, because not only is Isaiah Thomas dealing with something that I don't understand how he's playing basketball right now, but Isaiah Thomas is playing well. So what's happening to the other bananas? I mean, the same problem. Team's soft, and there's way too many one-way guys on that team. Marcus Smart is a defensive guy. He shoots too many threes. Kelly Olynyk, offense. Al Horford, offense. Both of those guys, no defense. Avery Bradley is about as close to a two-way player as you get, and he's a better defender than he is a scorer. They rely very heavily on Isaiah Thomas for points, and when it doesn't come from anywhere else, they're in danger. I just didn't think that a team led by Dwayne Wade and his aging knees and Rajon Rondo, a man the NBA forgot, I didn't think that that team should be able to beat the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Okay, 72 teams. Go down 0-2. 3 teams come back from that in the first round of playoff games. So Boston's in trouble. Right? Like, we talk about games being a must-win game, and we use it too frivolously when we say things are a must-win game. This is a must-win game. That's why I'm not saying this is a must-win game for Atlanta tonight. A game 2 in a series can never be a must-win game. Like, technically, they're all must-win games. You need to win 4 out of 7 to win. But, like, there isn't a prerogative on which of the games in the series have to be one of the 4. They throw it around way too often. But Boston's next game is a must-win game. And by the way, they are the worst 1 seed in the history of 1 seeds in the NBA. I don't think I've ever seen a team this look this ill-equipped to go win a title. We were talking about them all year long, like this is a team that potentially could give LeBron and Cleveland trouble. This is a team that could potentially make a run. Now I'm looking at the way that Boston's playing. I don't know any team in the Eastern Conference they could beat. Right? Like, I was talking about Atlanta this entire time and about how Washington was the matchup that Atlanta wanted. Because I think that they match up pretty well. Right? Like, Wall greater than Schroeder. That matchup's already lost. But Tim Hardaway Jr. puts up some games where he can match the output of Beal enough to give them a chance. Dwight Howard has some games where no, he's never going to be the scorer he once was, but he's still a very important rim protector and a very important defensive piece on that team. Paul Millsap has got to put the team on his shoulders, his big shoulders. He's got to do it. And I thought that matched up against Markieff Morris, who Paul Millsap's a little bit stronger than, and Marcin Gortat, who Dwight Howard is very familiar with, based on their time in Orlando. Like, I thought, okay, this is a matchup you want. Who do you not want if you're Atlanta? You don't want Toronto, you don't want Cleveland, and you don't want Boston. Well, I might have been wrong about that Boston part. Like, if you're everybody in the East, you wanted Boston. Boston doesn't look just bad. They look awful. They look awful. I don't know if they could beat Indiana. I don't know if they could. Who could they actually beat in the East right now in a 7-game series? Like, when I talk about a team that was built for the regular season, I can't imagine a better example than that team. We said it last year with the Warriors. The Warriors, they won 73 games. They break the record for most games won in a single NBA season. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that team struggling that hard in the first round of the playoffs? Because they didn't last year in a series they had without Steph, really, because Steph injured his knee. They had to play half that series without Steph. And everyone was saying, well, that team's just a regular season team. No, they weren't. They were 1 game away from winning a finals. This Boston Celtics team is just a regular season team. They were able to beat a lot of teams where they game plan for you one night. But they're not focusing in on you. You lose to the Celtics tonight, it's okay. You bounce back. You play one of the other 81 games you have left this season the next night. It's possible to lose to the Celtics. But when you have to plan for them for 7 games, the game plan, and the Celtics are an easy team to figure out. They're not a particularly strong team at all. And I find that fact to be interesting, if not entirely bizarre. They're not a strong team, even kind of. I've never seen a number 1 seed that soft. And they fell apart. They fell apart, and it wasn't even like there's a ton of pressure. But they've got to have output from somebody other than Isaiah Thomas. It is not looking good over there. And yeah, that's one of the series to me that I highlighted as being a bad series to watch. And it is a bad series to watch, just not for any of the reasons that I thought. It's a bad series to watch because the Celtics look defeated already. It's a bad series to watch because it doesn't look like much of a matchup at all. It's a bad series to watch because the Bulls might break out the brooms and sweep these guys. And it will be like you lose to the Bulls this way, a team that they were in NBA coma last week. You lose to them this way. And you have to go down in the history books as the softest, weakest, most worthless number 1 seed in the history of the NBA. You have to. The team's not worth anything. Like, who in the Eastern Conference could they beat? Clutch with Keon Rose at AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM News Now. We say 60-year-old Carrie Lee Parkey was found dead inside of a transport truck near Orange Grove Center. An autopsy has been ordered from the Hamilton County Medical Examiner's Office because they believe the circumstances surrounding the man's death are suspicious. The Chattanooga City Council is going to be working together to determine in which areas Airbnb will be allowed. Resident opinion seems to be fragmented, with some people in some zones approving and some people not. The City Council having to account for that and where they're going to allow Airbnb and short-term rental service. It's been reported that many people are operating an Airbnb, technically speaking, outside of the law. 911 call center alerts lit up like a Christmas tree last night as a man was riddled with bullets on East 23rd Street. Police say he was shot multiple times by an unknown assailant who may still be on the loose. A student from Covenant College has been rescued after falling off of a bluff 40 feet below to a ledge where she managed to call her friend, who then called emergency services. Miraculously, she was not wounded. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Nooga Radio News AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows only around 60. May see a little more patchy late fog. For Thursday, another mainly dry, warm day. Highs 83 to 85. For Friday, a few scattered showers and storms. For the afternoon, highs into the lower 80s. Your business needs can change in an instant. Accountemps can help by providing accounting and finance professionals on a temporary basis whenever you need them. Call today. That's Accountemps, a Robert Half company. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore. On Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You have to file your 1040 now. We will handle it for you now. Liberty Tax Service will snip out every deduction, every benefit. Liberty Tax Service now. Red Bank, Saudi Daisy, Dayton. Liberty Tax Service now.
Need windows? Hey folks, do you need new windows? Good news. Window Depot of Chattanooga has a great special going on right now. 10 high-quality, energy-efficient double-hung vinyl windows installed for only $29.90. That's right, 10 double-hung vinyl windows, only $2,990. And yes, they qualify for the TVA rebates. Call 894-0011. Window Depot of Chattanooga today, located at 5950 Shalford Road. Call 894-0011 today.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty foods. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5, 20% off. Nooga Radio, Lee Highway, nature's finest.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area, Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. A Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Here comes the bride, here comes the bride. She's walking down the street.
And she's wearing a stunning diamond ring that's a fraction of the cost that her man would have paid at one of those overpriced mall jewelry stores. Rick Davis has a plethora on quality diamonds and gold rings, and he wants to pass the savings on to you. Did I say plethora? How about overabundance? That's right, an overabundance of gold and diamonds. So before you decide to get crazy and pay full retail on an overpriced piece of jewelry from one of those cookie cutter mall jewelry stores, come on out and see Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Top quality gold and diamonds at a fraction of the cost. Intermarital bliss with an engagement and wedding ring from Rick Davis. Hey, he'll also buy your gold and diamonds with cash, and more cash. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. And there goes another happy bride.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
I'm just saying. David Fizdale turned in one of the all-time press conference performances. And he ought to go right up there with everybody that you know. With everybody that you know. He ought to go up there with Mike Gundy.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Got to go up there with John L. Smith.
Smile. Smile.
You know. He's got to go right up there with everybody. Jim Mora.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
All of these are iconic. And Fizdale.
Take that for data.
Which is crazy to me, right? Because Fizdale is one of those guys. He's one of those coaches, and the NBA is full of these coaches, but it's not just the NBA, right? Like every sport has these coaches where numbers are creeping in. Statistics, data, analysis. You can't be an organization these days and not use numbers and not use stats like these. And these coaches are using their gut instinct and what the game feels like. When there are things out there providing empirical stats. Fizdale's not even one of those guys. And Fizdale sat there in that press conference and increasingly was reading stats and getting angrier And I don't know which was making him more angry. The fact that the stats were very negative about his team, like told a story about his team that he did not like, or the fact that he had to sit up there and read numbers because he doesn't seem to like it very much.
It's unfortunate that I got a guy like Mike Conley who in his whole career has got 0 technical fouls and just cannot seem to get the proper respect from the officials that he deserves. It was a very poorly officiated basketball game. Zach Randolph, the most rugged guy in the game, had 0 free throws, but somehow Kawhi Leonard had 19 free throws. First half, we shot 19 shots in the paint, and we had 6 free throws. They shot 11 times in the paint, and they had 23 free throws. I'm not a numbers guy, but that doesn't seem to add up. Overall, 35 times we shot the ball in the paint. We had 15 free throws for the game. They shot 18 times in the paint and had 32 free throws. Kawhi shot more free throws than our whole team. Explain it to me. We don't get the respect that these guys deserve because Mike Conley doesn't go crazy. He has class, and he just plays the game. But I'm not going to let them treat us that way. I know Pop's got pedigree, and I'm a young rookie, but they're not going to rook us. That's unacceptable. That was unprofessional. My guys dug in that game and earned the right to be in that game, and they did not even give us a chance.
All right, thank you.
Take that for data.
Got to punch the podium. Got to punch the podium. There's no way to have a proper rant, it feels like, without punching the podium. Just ask Kevin Borseth.
That's how I feel.
He started the press conference with a podium punch. He started it with that. I feel like it's all uphill from there. If you start with a podium punch, I honestly like that. It's all uphill from there. Clutch with Keon Rose on M1240 and 92.7 FM. So one of the leading stories today was about Aaron Hernandez, the former New England Patriot tight end and former University of Florida tight end, and Super Bowl champion, by the way. Aaron Hernandez committed suicide in prison. Aaron Hernandez was in prison serving a life sentence for the murder of Odin Lloyd. And he was on trial recently for a couple of other murders for which he was acquitted. That being said, he commits suicide, which is like a shock to everybody. It's completely blindsides everyone because he didn't appear suicidal. People didn't know he was suicidal. They would have moved him to another part of prison had they known that he had been suicidal, but they didn't know. And he hung himself. And it's one of the sad stories, I think, in sports. And it's not because I pity Aaron Hernandez, right? Aaron Hernandez killed a guy. Okay, there's video of it. He tried to erase the video. He killed a guy. He's a murderer. I'm not trying to have pity for Aaron Hernandez. But Aaron Hernandez didn't wake up one day Aaron Hernandez. There were a whole lot of things in his life that led to that point. And I want to know how he got there. I want to know how it is that we as a society had that happen, where a guy could go be an NFL caliber tight end and honestly also be a guy comfortable with killing people, caught up in gang life and everything else. How does that happen? Right? Because there are athletes that have come from places where there are gangs and they've gotten out. Right? DeMar DeRozan is a guy, he plays for the Toronto Raptors. DeMar DeRozan's from Compton. Dude grew up a Crip. And to my knowledge, DeMar DeRozan is not out there killing people. So people can make it out of that life. How come Aaron Hernandez didn't? Like, what can we do better? Because I have one thing. We got to make it so that football does not wind up being the most important thing in your life. Like whether or not you are a good person ought to have some bearing on your life. Like especially at the University of Florida, I feel like I remember that being a criticism about the University of Florida is how often guys got arrested there. How often guys got arrested at the University of Florida. Like all the time, especially under Urban Meyer over there. Urban Meyer was like not disciplining anybody at all. Guys were getting arrested all the time. I say what you want about Jim McElwain, but guys don't get arrested at nearly the same rate. It's not even close. Right? But Urban Meyer's winning you football games, so you can turn the other way. And I'm not just pointing this just at the University of Florida, because Tennessee's had their things come up recently. Alabama seems to have some scandal, and Nick Saban's like, yeah, I just kind of dealt with it in-house. Nick Saban's just like, yeah. I had them do a couple of ride-alongs, and it's all good. Like, I think Nick Saban's one of those guys, too, that, again, talked earlier about how it pays to be Nick Saban. Nick Saban gets away with allowing a lot of things because he's Nick Saban, and we don't question him. And we didn't question Urban Meyer because Urban Meyer was a fantastic coach in Florida, and if he's proven anything in his time at Ohio State, it's that it wasn't a fluke. The guy is a legitimately good football coach. Urban Meyer's one of the top 3 coaches. He shows up at your school. If your school was able to get Urban Meyer, he changed your program overnight. If your school can get Herb, your program is better instantly. Saban's the other guy. Harbaugh's the other guy. They show up, your program's better. Immediately. And I don't know if we allowed that effect to blind us to a lot of things when Urban Meyer was in Florida. But it's not just a Florida problem. Aaron Hernandez made it all the way to the NFL. He passed all the rigorous testing that they do in the NFL. Do you know how much background digging they do in the NFL to try and get to your history, to get to who you are as a person? They try they look into a lot of things in the NFL. They talk to your family, your friends. They talk to the janitor in your high school so that they can get an idea as to how it is that you treated the janitor in your high school. They talk to everybody. How did Aaron Hernandez get past all of that? Aaron Hernandez got past all of that because we, at this point, still value talent more than we value morality. We value sports talent more than we value morality. That's the reason why Aaron Hernandez was able to become Aaron Hernandez. It is entirely his fault because I believe you are responsible for your actions. However, it is a sad story of a society that didn't curb any of that. We never put it out of reach. We never made it hard. It never once. We never made it difficult enough. That's how people learn from stuff. It's you make it hard. Kids don't know that if they touch the hot stove, it'll burn them. So you make it hard for them to burn themselves for their own safety. Somehow we got to the point where Aaron Hernandez got to be Aaron Hernandez, and we didn't have any problems with it. None. How does that happen? It's the same systemic stuff that allows all that awful Baylor stuff to happen, where we're treasuring talent over morality. Right? I mean, it's the same thing. Because when Art Briles was allowed to coach football, and thankfully he's not allowed to coach football, Art Briles let guys run wild on that campus, and they were winning football games. Art Briles would have been, if he was still coaching football, Art Briles would have been one of those guys. He shows up at your school. He shows up at your university. Your school is better overnight at football. It's better. He just has to step on the campus. Step on the campus and sign the contract. Your school's better at football immediately. He's one of those guys. But he's also one of those guys that won't discipline anybody for being a knucklehead. He's one of those guys that enables because he'll hide things. He tries to get in contact with the police. Like any of those Baylor guys could easily have been enabled all the way up to being in the NFL and still killing people, right? Like Aaron Hernandez could have easily gone through Baylor and been fine. He would never have been stopped. He would never have been caught. And we do have to ask ourselves the question when it comes to football, like how important is this really? Because it's an uncomfortable question to ask because obviously it's very important. We find it to be very important. It's an important part of our culture as Americans. It's a very important part of our culture here in the South. But when I talk about football, I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm not saying diminish it. I'm saying how important is football compared to making sure somebody is a good person, a good guy. Would you rather your team win a game or two less per season to not have bad people play on your team? Because at that point, Aaron Hernandez is young, he's impressionable, and maybe he's still a bad guy. Maybe he grows up and, he's still in this lifestyle where it's like, yeah, I feel like I could kill a person to try and get away with it. Maybe that's still part of his life. But then he's also not rewarded with playing football because playing football is a privilege. It's not a right. And certain people shouldn't be playing football. And I would argue people who murder people shouldn't be playing football. And Aaron Hernandez committed suicide today, I think, in some small part, because, he's looking at a life sentence. His life is effectively over. The outlook of it was pretty bleak. Just plain and simple. And we're in a society where he got to that point. He got that far. And if there is somebody like that, we've got to stop it a whole lot sooner while that person can still be helped. It's not to have empathy or sympathy for Aaron Hernandez, but just to wonder how it is that we can avoid future Aaron Hernandez's. Just my 2 cents. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I'm wondering about the sanity of a lot of people because they look at the Warriors and they look at Kevin Durant and they're like, well, are the Warriors going to struggle? Are they going to struggle with this? Are they going to struggle with that? Oh, look, he's got the strained calf. He may not be able to go tonight for game 2 of their series against the Portland Trailblazers. What are the Warriors going to do? The Warriors are going to be fine. I keep saying this. The Warriors will always be fine. Kevin Durant fits in and out of that lineup so seamlessly. People keep wondering, well, if he keeps coming in and out of the lineup, they'll never get used to playing with him. Yes, they will. They're great. He's great. He's a perfect fit for that team. If he's out of the lineup, they compensate without him. Steph plays better, shoots more threes, has to do more, but does more. If they don't, then if he's in the lineup, he'll play well. Everybody carries less of a burden. Kevin Durant and the Warriors, they're fine. How many times do I have to keep saying this? Because they said it when he got injured. Well, the season's over. They lost 4 games in a row. And I said they're fine. They lose 4 games in a row. Everyone goes, well, the season's over. And I said they're fine. And what do you know? They have one of the best finishes to the NBA season of all the teams. People are wondering, well, how does he reintegrate into the lineup? They're fine. And he has a strained calf tonight, and people are wondering if the Warriors are going to be fine without him. They'll be fine. And they're wondering if they'll be fine when he gets back. They'll be fine. They're a super team. They're a super team. How is this hard to understand? This is a team. The reason why you all don't like super teams isn't because of all the talent that they have on the floor. It's because injuries and everything happens in the NBA. Nobody stays perfectly healthy all the time. You've got to get lucky. Durability is not a skill that you can learn. But when you have Kevin Durant on your team with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, guess what? You can afford to miss one of those guys for a game or two and still be a contender. There's nobody in the Western Conference that's going to stop Golden State with or without Durant. They don't need Durant to get to the Western Conference Finals. They need him to win the Western Conference Finals. I don't think they can beat the Spurs without Durant. But up until that point, they don't need him at all. And by the way, before people go, well, what did Kevin Durant sign to Golden State for? If for some reason Steph Curry were to go down and Durant were to be the one healthy, they'd be fine. That team has the best shooters on earth on it. Why? What is with all the hand-wringing and worrying? And is there anything about this team and the way that they're built that suggests to you that they can't handle a few people out of the lineup? Because I don't see it. I don't see it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing about this team that suggests that they can't handle that. They're built for the postseason. When you build a super team and you put together a team with all of these stars, that's what that team is built for. The postseason, not the regular season. Right? Like that's what it is. Kevin's fine. The Warriors are fine. They're all fine. Like I don't feel like I should have to worry about a championship caliber team. Worry about the Hawks. They're playing the Wizards in a tight game right now. It's close. And we'll see how much they have in terms of getting over the hump on this one. Washington leads 30-26 with 9:46 left to go in the second. This series, look, I said this is the team that you wanted. Maybe it was Boston all along. But outside of Boston, I don't know who else you would have taken on. This is the only team you match up well against. And it's actually weird because like no one thought the Utah-LA series was going to be good. That series is turning out to be better. Toronto and Milwaukee, that series is turning out to be better. Man, we are in the first round of the playoffs and everything is already upside down. It's defying everything that I thought was possible. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
Take that from data.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. And Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops the right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240. The voice of NASCAR. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Come see the fastest dirt late model drivers in the South compete for a purse every Saturday night. Pit gates open at 3, grandstand opens at 5. Racing starts at 7. Bring the whole family for a night of fun as they tear it up on the dirt track. Go to BoydSpeedway.net and check out the Dirt Simulator. BoydSpeedway.dirtsimulator.com. Chattanooga's best kept secret, Boyd Speedway. Fun-filled, outrageous racing. We'll see see you Saturday night.
The Dirt Showdown #1 with limited late models, crate late models, sportsman, hobby, street stocks.
Boyd Speedway.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a